first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello everyone, this is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibler. Thank you for joining us. We are live streaming here from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up. There we go. I was going to show this. I gave you a surprise look at who our guest is going to be today, but we are talking about Tualatin Valley Tualatin Valley Water District and the Willamette Water Supply System. Starting off here for Monday morning, but there's our live look there from our camera at right there by the Telecom Bridge, looking at the Willamette River. That is not where the Willamette Water Supply System is going to be coming from, but that's a demonstration just showing you the water right now. It's a further upstream there in Wilsonville is where that's going to be happening. So we're going to be discussing that here during today's segment. And for a lot of you right now who are joining us, you may have received one of these notifications in the mail, which for the Tualatin Valley Water District, noting that the Willamette Water Supply System is going to be coming, and the Willamette Water Supply Program is going to be going online. So we're going to be talking about that right now with Joel Cary from Tualatin Valley Water District. And Joel, thank you very much for joining us here today. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being on here. And I think to start off, could you tell us just, maybe about your position there with Tualatin Valley and also about the Willamette Water Supply System?
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me on today. I'm Joel Cary. I'm TVWD. That's the acronym we use for Tualatin Valley Water District. I'm our Water Resources Manager. That means I oversee and help with our water quality compliance, water resource management things, making sure we have an available supply, looking at all of our supplies together. Really, that's kind of the portfolio of what I do. And the Willamette Water Supply System is the new system we and the other two partners, cities of Hillsborough and Beaverton, are bringing online in 2026. This new system is our new supply, which is the mid-Willamette. That's about 20 miles upstream of where that picture is, where you're seeing right now. So our intake, again, is upstream of that location right there. And that new system is a brand new treatment plant, large diameter transmission pipeline. That new supply will be serving upwards of 350,000 folks in Washington County, and specifically TVWD as well, because we serve about 225,000 people in the Washington County area. So that new supply we're bringing online will be directly serving TVWD's customers.
And so this new supply system coming on, what was the, original going into this as far as why this system is being implemented? Was there not enough water supply from the previous sources, or is this something to supplement? Is there a specific reason?
Yeah, there's several reasons. I mean, chief among those was we wanted to have some local ownership here in Washington County. We wanted to make sure we had a resilient supply, so seismically resilient, to be clear. So it's a system that we can withstand a major earthquake event, and we can bring it back online quickly. And then just frankly, water quality. So our ability to provide the supply, it's been a source that's been used for 20 years by communities down in Wilsonville and Sherwood. We know it's a great and excellent supply of water, and with that new state-of-the-art treatment plant, we'll be producing high-quality water for our community. So, kind of taken together, those three things really do kind of give the basis for why we wanted to have a supply. And I would also add that, just looking ahead at the generations, we try and look 50 plus years out. So having this new supply, our ability to manage it amongst the partners, really does provide a resilient supply for future generations in the county.
We're taking a look there, I believe, at some of the construction that went in place for this system right now, just to see some of that there on camera. And we'll go back to some of that as well. But to talk about, one of the big questions that I'm sure a lot of people have when you think Willamette River, you think at least previously, how clean is this? How safe is this? And so to address that, how safe is the drinking water coming from the Willamette River?
Yes, it is. It is safe. One thing that tells us is the data, again, goes back to the fact that we have communities that have been using this for 20 years. We know the water quality in the river itself has improved significantly since, going back decades. It's a high quality natural source in the first place. And again, we often point out that our intake is, upstream of the downtown site there that's in the background. And to add to that, we have a state-of-the-art treatment plant that's being built right now. So that state-of-the-art process has 6 important steps in it. There's removal of sediment. There's special treatment things we use like ozone, carbon. We're using UV treatment. There's several other steps in there as well, specific steps. But taken together, we know that this plant is going to produce high quality water for our community. And again, the raw water source itself is excellent. So we feel really confident that this is going to be a viable supply for our community. The track record, frankly, is there.
Will this be blended with some of the other sources of water, or will certain households be getting exclusive water from this system?
Yeah, some households will be getting this water exclusively. Some folks will get a blend. If you look at TVWD as a whole, about 70% of our supply right now is what we get from Portland. So the Willamette supply is replacing that. The other supply we get is from Joint Water Commission. That's the upper portion of the Tualatin, Hag Lake. Some folks may know that. That supply does provide water for much of Washington County right now. So taken as a whole, those two supplies, the Joint Water Commission and Willamette Water Supply, will be serving much of Washington County together. If those questions do come up, we always ask folks, call your local water provider, call TVWD, we'll tell you what's going on. We manage that on a daily basis, a weekly basis, monthly basis. We're pretty darn good at making sure we track where the water's going and know where it's at all times. So, but yeah, it will make up a good portion of the supply for everybody. It just depends on the day and the time of year.
And to go through that again, too, with this system coming online, when is it that people can expect to start having that into their water supply?
Yeah, the current track right now, we're on for 2026. So we're looking at right about mid-2026 for bringing that system online. We would point out we've started a TVWD has specifically started a communication campaign around this, as the little postcard flyer there you noticed. So more of that will be coming as we get closer to those exact dates in 2026. Yeah, that way people will know. We'll kind of ramp up that information. There'll be a lot of outreach. There'll be a lot of web content. At that point, we'll have more specificity around the exact timing of it. We are planning for that. We've done a lot of work around that plan that we'll get to in a minute. But using our website, watching the media channels, that way we'll be able to communicate exactly when customers can expect to see that change.
Is there any noticeable difference that they'll be able to tell as far as the drinking water? Is there going to be a different, harder, softer, any kind of a taste difference to that?
Our waters are very, at least for this supply, are very similar in the Pacific Northwest. They're surface waters, meaning, they are generally quite soft no matter what. But yeah, the short answer is there will be some differences. Potentially folks may notice just the type of residual disinfectant or chlorine we're using, some of those slight changes during the transition process. In the long run, we expect it to be very comparable. We've done some taste testing of this, of all of our supplies, frankly, and they all rank quite high in terms of taste, including the new supply. So we've been doing that process over the last year. But again, folks may notice that during the transition process as we make that change. That's one of the things we're going to communicate, so folks will have a better idea of what they can do, how long to expect that as we actually make the transition to our new supply.
And you mentioned one of the big things, too, is looking decades out into the future as far as supply. And do you think this will be adequate for a number of years? I'm sure things are slated to grow, population growth or things like that. Will this be satisfactory for any kind of growth that's anticipated?
Yeah, that's a fantastic point to make, and it's exactly one of the reasons why we did this project too, is amongst the partners. So we know this will give us supply for decades to come. When I say 50-year planning horizon, that's the term we use often because as water supply agencies, we're trying to look way out into the future, right? We often point out our kids and our grandkids and everything else. That's what we're looking ahead for. So this new supply will absolutely provide us that future supply for decades to come, well through the end of this century for sure. And what's great about it is, you were showing some of those background shots. The plant that we're building is expandable, so we've designed it to make sure that it is expandable for future growth. So that way we are thinking about that, and it's a lot easier for us to make those investments decades down the road when we are ready, or we do need a little additional supply as the community grows, that it's been designed into the entire process, if you will, to make sure we can increase the capacity as needed.
Interesting. Okay, so it's adaptable for that.
Yep.
Anything else that you think is very important for people to know just about this changeover?
Yeah, there's actually some really important stuff we want to get across to folks. So, TVWD, we've been preparing for this for quite some time. This project is 9 years in the making at this point in terms of design, construction. And as we bring this online, our district has been doing a lot of preparation work in our system. So one of the great milestones that we met, we spent the last 2 years doing flushing of our entire distribution system. So that's 760 miles of pipeline. That's a pretty accelerated timeline. We've always done that type of work in terms of flushing our system. But again, we accelerated that project to make sure that program to make sure that we were getting through our entire system right before we bring the new system online, the new Willamette system online next year. So flushing is a really effective process where we remove any built-up sediment that occurs naturally from your supply. It helps us make sure that we test all of our valves in the system, test the hydrants that we do routinely, but again, just an extra layer of that testing. It helps make sure our system is prepared for fire protection for firefighters. So it has all these additional benefits. This will help make that transition go a lot smoother. As again, we've made sure that the entire system and all the pipes were flushed in advance of this. So we're proud of this work we're doing. That's not the only thing we're doing. There's a lot of additional prep work that we're doing to make sure that we make a smooth transition. The planning that goes behind it, our operations, our engineering teams, our customer service teams, all the above, working towards this common goal next year as we bring the new Willamette Supply System online.
With this new system, I don't know if you have these numbers or anything in front of you, but do you anticipate what the volume is of water that you're going to be taking out of the Willamette, and if that's going to have an effect on the river itself or the river's ecosystem?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. We do know that. That's actually driven by the fact that amongst the partnership and the folks using this particular intake, we all have water rights permits that are authorized by the state. Some of those permits, in fact, many of those permits amongst the partners using that intake go back to the 70s. So we have a very quantifiable amount of water we can even take through the actual infrastructure of the intake. All those things are permitted all the way down from the national level, from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers down to the Water Resource Department. We work with Department of Environmental Quality. There's a lot of layers about that. So in terms of how much we can take out, the intake itself is designed to make sure we can take out for the future up to 150 million gallons, but that's a ways out in the road. That's a ways down. As I pointed out, our treatment plant itself that we're building is 60 million gallons. We know in terms of what we're looking at that it is a small amount of water that's being taken out in the overall flow of the Willamette. That said, we actually have to track that and make sure that we're reporting our permits, make sure we're meeting all these environmental obligations we have, if you will, to make sure that we aren't going beyond what we're allowed to take as allowed by the state.
All right. Well, Joel, again, anything else that you think is important just for people to know as this switch is happening?
Just that we want to be a resource. So yeah, absolutely. If during this time period, if you get this information or you see something, whether it's a billboard or a sign, potentially on a bus, please visit our website. It's www.tvwd.org/WWSS. I know it's a bit of a mouthful. But that's the website to go to. Make sure you use that. There's a lot of resources we're going to be putting there. We'll be reaching out to folks, again, through some of the materials you were just showing. So we want folks to know that stay involved. We're being transparent. We want to make sure folks understand about what's happening with this conversion. And frankly, we're all pretty excited about this. As water supply professionals, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make sure that we're providing something for future generations. So I'd say, yeah, use those resources. And if as a customer of TVWD, we will be in touch with you in the future about more specific details.
Actually, I did have one more question just with that, mentioning the customer. Yeah. Is there an anticipated price change, increased cost for that for the consumers?
TVWD, we've been pretty proactive about this. We've done a lot of future rate increases to pay for this already. So as of the time of this, we just adopted our new budget. Our rate increases have gone down substantially. So we've already done the big lift, if you will, in terms of those rate impacts. Most of that stuff's available online. We communicate that a lot to our customers. I would also add thank you to all of our customers across the district for making sure they support this. And I should also add, it's not only current customers, but future customers as well, just in terms of paying for the infrastructure through our loans and rates. So yes, it has an impact, but we hope that what we're providing and showing is that a brand new seismically resilient supply system that'll be here for future generations is worth the investment to our community.
All right, well, Joel, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time and joining us to go through this and answer some of those questions. And as you mentioned, there's the website that people can go to as well. And yeah, thanks for being here on Fox 12 Now.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And for everybody watching, again, we are live streaming here, so I appreciate you joining us. We are here every weekday starting at 1 p.m. and even more throughout the day, but 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., this is the place to go also for breaking news if that happens during that time. But we've got more segments coming up at 1:30. We're going to be talking about Mount Hood. In particular, one of our cameras caught something on Mount Hood earlier today. Whether it's steam, maybe it's a campfire way high up on the mountain, nothing to worry about, but something interesting. So we're going to get to the bottom of that with USGS and the Cascades Volcano Observatory. They're going to join us here at 1:30 just to talk about what it was we were seeing and explain what's going on up there at the mountain. So that's right here on Fox 12 Now. You can download the Fox 12 Oregon app if you're not watching on that already. That's a great way to watch live or after the fact. So whenever this is that you're watching us, you can always go and check out all of our other segments as well. But we'll take a break. For right now, I will talk to you here shortly. I'm Greg Nibler. This is Fox 12 Now.